welcome to episode 2 of the Rally the Creed podcast. I'm your host Ashley, and with me again today is Col, the creator of The Ones Who Came Before community, who we got to know a little better in our first episode.
Hi Ash, thanks for having me back.
No problem.
So before we start, I actually want to just apologise for something that happened last time. In the background you may have heard the sound of a coffee mug hitting a coaster, and that was me. I'd like to take responsibility for that. I am sorry for that. It won't happen again.
No problem, we'll forgive you. Paul's here with me today to discuss a little bit about this podcast and what we hope to achieve with it, and also about the upcoming launch of Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So firstly, let's discuss the most recent news that we've announced. Cole, would you like to tell the listeners a little bit about our joining the Mentors Guild and what that means and our role within the programme?
Yeah, so it was great because the other day we finally got to announce that we were joining the Mentors Guild, which is a 3-year project that Ubisoft established. It's basically like a ground between fans and community developers, and in that area is where all the mentors operate, and it's sort of like a platform where you can help people grow and act as like a community sort of like representative for the brand. So as mentors, it's now our position to gather information for the company and promote certain activities and projects, and just sort of act as like ambassadors, like I said, for the project, and sort of similar to what we've done before with the UK stuff, but now it's on like a global scale. And I know in the past the Mentors Guild has been like quite a close-knit group, but Ubisoft have been trying to expand the project, and there's at least 50 mentors now, so it is more representative of the entire world of Assassin's Creed because there are fans everywhere. But like for now, we are just sort of like getting used to the role and acting behind the scenes to sort of find out how we can benefit everyone from it. So like I said, it is like an ambassador program, but there are a lot of perks from it that we can use to benefit the ones who came before and the overall community. So like giveaways, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's it. It's going to be quite an exciting project, and like I say, at the moment we're still finding our feet and learning what our place is and how we can get involved with the Mentors Guild, but it is quite an exciting opportunity. So obviously once we know a little bit more about our place within that programme, we'll be able to share that with you all a bit more. So now you know a little bit more about the Mentors Guild, but before we were part of the Mentors Guild, we were part of a smaller project called Rally the Creed, which you may recognise as the name for this podcast. So this project was the inspiration behind the name, because our purpose with this podcast is to bring together the community and rally members of Assassin's Creed. So Cole, would you like to discuss a little bit about what Rally the Creed was and our role within that?
Yeah, so that was like a small scale ambassador program for the UK. So like, I've personally been a UK ambassador for a couple of years, but this was like this year's equivalent, and it was sort of like a Valhalla promotional campaign. So imagine the Mentors Guild, but like a UK version where Ubisoft would help us to promote stuff, and it would be like vice versa. So there are a couple of assets along with the marketing campaign that we were given access to. So like it was obviously us, Dave Woodward, Damo, and a couple other UK ambassadors who are now actually all on the Mentors Guild. And we all had like behind the scenes access to some early assets and stuff. So we were trying to like promote the game and gather intel in order to help Ubisoft with the marketing. But it sort of just fell through. Like, I guess the main reason for it was because of how similar it was to the Mentors Guild in that respect. And even just like getting through like what we wanted to achieve with it, like we all had like similar goals, so in the end they sort of just like merged the two, which is probably like the best outcome for it. And now Rally the Creed sort of just like fizzled out, and now we've got like this expanded Mentors Guild project, which I believe is better because there's loads of people involved now, a lot more opportunities for everyone. But yeah, Rally the Creed, like I said, was like the UK like small scale ambassador program, had like 10 of us in, but it's now merged into this Mentors Guild project.
That's it, yeah. So Rally the Creed was like, you say it was like the Mentors Guild, but on a small scale and specifically directed at Valhalla. It didn't really have the broad scope the Mentors Guild has across the whole Assassin's Creed franchise. So like you mentioned, it was mainly aimed at sort of the promotion of Valhalla. And so talking about the promotion, how do you feel that the marketing campaign has gone so far? Do you think that in the lead up to the release of the game, the trailers and the content that we have seen have helped to build that hype for the game and build the excitement and anticipation for the fans of the franchise like yourself?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the Valhalla material that we've seen so far is more exciting for newcomers rather than Assassin's Creed fans, and I feel like a lot of the assassin elements have been kept in the shadows as such. So I know every single trailer just about has been, here are the raids, here's the combat, but where are the assassin elements? And I think that's now left for us to dive into the game and find for ourselves. It is like something that we're going to have to go in and see if it's there. And the thing is, we know it's there because we've read about all these cool new stealth features, for example, that are in the game from the interviews. But when I watch the trailers, I feel like it's showing the time period, Vikings, raids, battles, and it's not really showing that much Assassin's Creed element. So like the Hidden Blade was shown, for example, it's now like, it's not hidden, it's like a, I think Darby McDevitt had a really good word for it. It was like the conspicuous blade or something. Yeah, it's like very obvious that it's being used. It's like showing off almost. But I'd say the marketing campaign's been more excited for people who are new to the franchise or people who are just interested in Viking history. And for Assassin's Creed fans, I think, like I said, I think they're going to have to dive in and discover all of the AC elements for themselves. It's sort of been hidden so far.
Yeah, so I think that you say it could work quite well for Ubisoft that even though it is an Assassin's Creed game, there are a lot of exciting things to look forward to if you're not previously a fan of the Assassin's Creed games. Like you say, people who are just fans of even like the TV show Vikings, if they see the trailers that have been released so far, they'll see all these exciting new aspects of Assassin's Creed that then might sort of draw them into the games and help them fall in love with the franchise as well. So yeah, and like I say, other than things like maybe seeing the Hidden Blade, the trailers so far haven't shown a massive amount of assassins, so it will be quite interesting to see what that develops into.
Yeah, 100%. And don't get me wrong, I am excited for the game, and I think it looks amazing. It's a great time like to explore, and it's just sort of missing that Assassin's Creed, I don't want to say flavour, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah,
it's sort of the problem that the movie had as well. So it's sort of like it's got the iconography, but sort of in the background. So like all the elements are there, you know, like ego vision and everything. We're just not really seeing it in the marketing. And stealth is my number one problem with the marketing campaign, is that we are assassins being stealthy, and I've just not seen it. I mean,
so it'll be interesting to see how they merge Vikings and raids and flying in dual wielding axes with being stealthy, and how they actually work stealth into Vikings. I think that's going to be quite interesting to see.
And the other thing I've noticed is for time periods in this campaign, it would go very quiet for like a month, and we'd have literally nothing, and then all of a sudden we're like bombarded with Assassin's Creed Valhalla stuff. And like, for example, my favourite Assassin's Creed marketing campaign ever was Origins, because it was almost like every single month we had a new trailer. And when I think of Valhalla, we've only had a couple of trailers and they've all shown raids and combat. Now I would have loved an Assassin's Creed stealth trailer, for example. I know I keep going on banging on about stealth, but I'm one of the old school fans. Like I go back a long time in this franchise, and I would have liked to have seen more of these aspects in the marketing.
More Assassin's Creed than just Viking.
Absolutely. I mean, there's only 12 days left, so I'm like, how much can they show us now? When I think back to the very beginning of the marketing campaign, they were like, oh, we're going to explore these elements a bit further on down the line. And now we are further down the line. Like, can we just get like a stealth trailer tomorrow, please? Or like, I don't know, something like that. Yeah. Like more Assassin's Creed in the marketing would be nice, personally, I think.
Yeah, no problem. I know you also mentioned there about, when you mentioned about stealth, some new features that are going to be in the game. So maybe some things we haven't seen before, or the return of old features that we've not seen for a few games, like petted animals, which I personally am looking forward to. And so, like I say, articles, and we've also seen some gameplay footage showing these new features. Are you excited to explore these new options? What are there any particular features that you're looking forward to seeing?
So I think that social stealth is the key one here. So that's something from the very early games. Assassin's Creed 1 introduced it, and it's where you can blend in with a crowd, and it's the whole idea that you can use the environment around you to be a stealthy assassin. And it's something that has lost its way in the Assassin's Creed series recently. It sort of got fizzled out after like Syndicate, I guess. So after that, I mean, with Origins and Odyssey, they didn't really have these like huge crowds you could blend in with. But now you go back to the Viking times, you've got the towns, you've got the villages, And one of the cool things they're introducing now is Eivor can pretend to wash pans and cook vegetables, like chop vegetables on like, I guess, like a wooden board, what's it called, like a chopping board.
Yeah, chopping board.
Yeah, it's so like pretend to be like a chef. And then a guard will walk past and you can assassinate from that point. So, and they're introducing this sort of stealth, but they're also bringing back the old features like assassinating from the hay bales and sitting down assassinations, all these, like the range they used to have in the early games, but they're bringing these new features in. So there are a couple of new stealth options that I think are really interesting. So that's one. But with the stealth mechanics, I feel like it's one of them that you're going to upgrade, and the more you interact with the hidden ones, the original assassins, they're probably going to teach you these new methods. And I am interested in seeing how they do it, because as I say, it's not been in the marketing campaign. I would like to see these features up close. And another one that I remember is in the interview we did with Eric Baptizat, who's the game director for Assassin's Creed Valhalla. He said that you can actually lure drunkards to distract people, and then that'll move the guards to a certain area and you can sneak your way into a building. I think that's a great concept, and it's sort of reminiscent to when Ezio would pay the courtesans, the dancers. He'd pay them, and then you could lure the guards with that, and it's sort of that. They've taken a look at the Assassin's Creed franchise, what worked, what didn't, and they're trying to reinvent stealth.
Yeah, it's like merging the old school techniques that you had and the options and the stealth that you had there with the new games and the new features that we've maybe not seen before at all. So yeah, it's quite interesting to see how they'll play together in the new game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so with the new game coming so soon, we'll obviously be releasing a lot of new content on the ones that came before. Are there any new projects that you have in the pipeline that you're happy to share with the listeners?
Yeah, so now I'm in Mentors Guild, I have to be very careful about what I discuss. So yeah, ones that came before projects I'm happy to discuss. The other day I released my first article as a community builder, which is sort of like, it's the ones that came before and Mentors Guild, like I'm merged. The same person, so it is like merged. But it was building an Assassin's Creed community, how to start. And it's sort of like what we touched on in episode 1 of this podcast, like how I personally started the ones that came before and how to establish a network. So that was my own experiences in this article. And the second article is going to be written by another community builder from the Mentors Guild. And I've been giving him some pointers on where to begin. But he runs... I don't want to give it away because it is
another big group.
He runs another Assassin's Creed community and he is writing the next one, so I'm excited about that. And another one we have is obviously the Assassin's Creed Valhalla review, which we'll eventually get around to. I mean, we've not played the game yet, Ash, but we will eventually be sitting down and writing a review, and I'm going to try to bring it out sooner than the last time. With Odyssey, I spent about 3 months writing a review because I was tearing it apart. Like every single element I was going in on, I was like trying to figure out what worked, what didn't work, and I did like a really comprehensive review. In this one I want to try to bring it out a bit sooner, so that's going to be a huge project. You might not even see me for days at a time because I'm just going to be playing Valhalla, writing down my notes.
Does not surprise me in the slightest. Yeah, I think like I said, because you've already written the review of the last game and you know sort of the things that you want to look into and the way that you want to write it, that'll obviously help it coming out a little bit quicker. But I think, so it's quite exciting to see how, because obviously you've played the games for a lot longer than I have personally, so for someone like me who's a little bit newer to the franchise, you can compare the new games to the old games.
What was that?
It's the sound because it's reached the end of the thing.
Oh, crazy. Sorry about that. That was creepy.
Yeah.
Carry on.
So yeah, you can compare the old games and the new games together.
Yeah, definitely.
So that you can give that little bit of a different insight into the games and say this has worked from previous and they've used it again and it's something that they should carry on using in the future. And yeah, it'll be very interesting to read for everyone, I'm sure. Any other projects you want to discuss? Yeah,
so one thing I want to get into once more is the fan gallery aspect. So at the ones that came before, we always spend a lot of time promoting content, and that's another, I guess, platform for the Mentors Guild to signal boost. But we want to bring back the ones that came before Community Corner as a more regular thing. So recently we've been doing fan galleries every month, which has been a massive project.
Yeah, that started from the Rally the Creed project, didn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of to help promote people within the community with like cosplay and things that they were producing themselves.
Yeah, I found that rather difficult just because there was so much content being created, and every time I saw like a new piece of artwork or a cosplay project, I'd screenshot it on my phone and then I'd add it to the article. And like, I've literally just wrapped up the October one today, but it was such a big project. And like, I think from now on, we're gonna like just do the retweeting and the ones that came before Community Corner every Sunday. I want to get a bit more consistent with that. I need like a social media calendar really of like, right, on a Monday we release this, on a Sunday we release this. Because like sometimes it's just like, oh right, we're on Wednesday now and I forgot to post it.
So even a community that's been going as long as yours, there's still little hiccups along the road and things that you can improve on. I mean, I know one thing that you used to do as well was the screen captures from the games, and Valhalla is bringing that aspect back, like within Origins and Odyssey. So I can't remember what day of the week that used to be.
Yeah, the photo mode competitions used to be on Monday, and that is something I would like to bring back because I've not seen any screenshots from the photo mode yet. I'm not sure if the early access developers and the fans have had the opportunity to play with it yet, but as soon as that drops, you know, fans are going to love it because there's so many features in these games, and I know people like Sebastian in the community absolutely loves the photo mode elements, and you can just spend hours just on that alone, taking the perfect screenshots. For
a game where, like you say, we haven't necessarily seen a lot of the different aspects of it other than the raids and things, it'll be interesting to see some of the scenery shots, some of the action shots, some of the different stealth shots maybe, especially for you, that we'll see through that photo mode. And like you say, if we bring that back on the ones who came before, I think that's something that people will really enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. And the other thing is that this is the first game to be on the new consoles, so the new Xbox, the new PlayStation, and it's going to be like visually impressive.
That's our guest star Hugo the cat, just chiming in the background. Are you excited too for photo mode? I think so.
Yeah, so what was I saying? Yeah, so photo modes is going to be incredible because the graphics have never been better in an Assassin's Creed game, and you can see that in the demos. Like if you look at the early demos they released, they had Eivor, and it wasn't the best looking, but now like, all of a sudden they're releasing early access footage and it looks 10 times better.
Yeah, a lot sharper.
Yeah, they've cleaned it up, they've polished the game, and it looks incredible, and it's going to be amazing when people like Gustav from the partnership program, when he gets his hands on the photo mode, and all the other community members who love the photo mode, it's going to be amazing to see these screenshots. And like you said, we're going to bring back them challenges. And we might even have a few giveaways up for grabs as well.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. I'm sure everyone will love to get involved in that. Before we go as well, one thing to mention is the latest announcement, which was only 2 days ago, of the new Assassin's Creed Netflix show. So what do you think, or what do you hope that we're going to see from something like this? Because like you say, we mentioned the movie. Do you think there's things that maybe we can improve on from the movie with it being a Netflix show instead?
Yeah, so I think I actually like the movie, so I know it's a controversial topic in the community. I like it. I think they did a good job. It had all the iconography. It just had a couple of like lore hiccups. So for example, the Templars finding the Apple of Eden, and it was almost like they'd never seen one before. Whilst we've played all these games, and every single game there's an Apple of Eden or a piece of Eden, and they know very well what they are. So it's just like little lore discrepancies, and I think that comes down to Ubisoft having the control over the project. And the company that, what was it, 20th Century Fox or something, and it was just sort of like mixed messages, and so I think a bit more consistency over the project than this one. So I would want Netflix to have like equal control over it with Ubisoft, and I think it's one of them where if they did everything correct, you know, they had like a clear conflict between the Assassins and Templars, it was all explained, and some interesting modern day in there, not just like an animus claw, but I actually like that in the movie, but you know, something like the Matrix perhaps, you know, where they're jumping into the machine and there's a purpose for it. If it was all like laid out, explained, and they had time to develop, it could be the best Assassin's Creed platform, because in the games now they're not really giving modern day the time of day, they're not really exploring it as much as they should be, and I feel like it's been chopped down compared to the original games. It'd be nice to see, like, for example, the transmedia projects, like Assassin's Creed Heresy, for example, that introduced new characters, and then you've got the comic books, which had really interesting characters, and I think the best modern day storylines we've seen in the last 5 years have been in the comic books. So I would, even if they recreated the comic books, as live
As a
action
show, yeah.
or anime or action, whatever they want to do. There's loads of things Netflix are doing. They're making a universe, aren't they? An
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed TV universe. If they use some of that material or expanded upon it, I don't know what road they're going to go down. If it's going to be independent, probably independent storylines. I can't see them recreating things. But if it sort of went down a similar road to the Uprising comics or the Templars comics, I think it could be some of the best Assassin's Creed storytelling in, I don't know how long. I don't know Valhalla story or anything, but from what I've seen, there is like a hidden modern day sort of element to that. But I would like to see them go back to the Assassins v Templars in the modern day. That's like a conflict.
Yeah.
But the comics did that very well, and I'd like to see that on the screen.
It does seem like it's going to be a very exciting time for Assassin's Creed with Netflix show and the new game that's coming out in just a few days' time. I think there's a lot to be excited about, especially if you're a fan of Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, definitely. And it sounds like Netflix are going to be working with Ubisoft for the next few years, so we can expect series after series that all connect. I think that's an interesting thing, especially if it's in the game universe.
Yeah. So no, it's all very exciting. Is there anything else you want to discuss today?
I would like to say that Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I think it's one of the most unique projects Ubisoft has worked on in a while. I feel like a lot of these time periods they've gone with recently have been a bit safe. But with Vikings, obviously you've got the whole thing of how can a Viking be stealthy?
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a big challenge for Ubisoft. And maybe they've not answered it yet in the marketing campaign, but I feel like they can answer it in the game with the assassin elements, with the stealth, and I want to know how it's possible. 'Cause I know they can do it, they can pull it off,
It's just how they go about
a stealthy Viking. I am very interested in how they're going to do it, and as I say, it's there's the Vikings TV show, which is massive. But this is an element to the game that I feel is different to all the Viking projects. You never really have like this stealth approach from them. But I mean, in history, you have the Viking stealth raids, which were a thing, but you never really see it in these movies or TV shows. So I am interested in seeing how they go about doing this.
Yeah, I can definitely say this is the game I'm most excited for. Like I said earlier, I'm quite new to Assassin's Creed. I've only been on the scene for about, I think, just shy of 4 years. So Origins was the first game that I really saw from start to finish, sort of the marketing campaign, the release of the game, playing the games. But this one, I say it because it's Vikings, I think that is something that I'm a bit more passionate about, like more excited to see. So yeah, it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, and it's cool because it can probably draw new fans to the series just by seeing like Vikings on screen. It's one of them time periods and sort of the action series as well. They've shown a lot of combat and it's brutal in this game. It's going to draw a lot of people.
Definitely, and like you say, it's with the Vikings TV show that was so big and so popular and so successful that if we can draw some of that crowd into Assassin's Creed, maybe like I say, new people that have never played the game. I think it'll do really well.
And you've got the Lost Kingdom as well, which Magnus was a part of. He was one of the voice actors. So I think it's going to be really interesting. It might be, fingers crossed, one of the best Assassin's Creed games we've had in years, but we just need to see a bit more of that. We've got 12 days. If they release a stealth trailer,
then you'll be happy.
Yeah, I mean, some of the marketing materials that they've literally dropped in the last 2 weeks, they've had Basim, who's one of the hidden ones, and he was in the trailer they released recently as well. It looks so much like Assassin's Creed 1, and they are connecting to the roots of the series. And I want somewhere in the ground they want to get between the RPG format and the old school Assassin's Creed games, somewhere in that middle where they get a balance. And I think it could be really interesting if they get that balance right.
Yeah, because then they can please the new people that are just joining the franchise, as well as still appeasing the people that have been in it like you from the beginning, who maybe don't like all the drastic changes that have happened in the last 2 games. If they can merge the two and sort of tie together the old school with the new elements, then I think it'll make for a really good game. So I think that's everything we have to discuss. Thank you again all for listening, and thank you, Cole, for your insight in the upcoming game. We hope you enjoyed listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with us. We do have the email, the ones who came before, at googlemail.com. You can also find us and keep up to date with all things Assassin's Creed and obviously at the moment Valhalla using our Facebook, which is the ones who came before, and also on Twitter and Instagram at AC1stCiv. And then you've got our personal Twitters as well. You've got Cole_96 and mine, which is Ashley_97. Thanks guys for listening.